Hello students, in this lecture we are going to study the applications of Pascal's law. So basically in your portion there are two applications, hydraulic lift and hydraulic brake. So first of all we'll start with hydraulic lift. So a hydraulic lift is basically used to lift any heavy object by using just a small force. Now the working of this hydraulic lift is based on the principle of Pascal's law. So suppose you have just two tanks, this one and this one, and let the green part be the piston of those tanks. Now we can say that the pistons are S1 and S2. The cross-sectional area of piston S1 is A1 and cross-section area of piston S2 is A2. Now let the cross-section area A2 be very much greater than the cross-section area A1. Now if you apply some force from this piston S1, if you apply some force, the pressure experienced there will be P1. So P1 will be F1 by A1. Now as these two tanks are connected, and according to Pascal's law the pressure field at every point is same, so the pressure here, the pressure which is field here is also same here. So now here the pressure field is suppose P1 itself. Now due to that pressure the force experienced will be F2. So you can write the relation, that is F2 is equal to P1 A2. So here you have to write A2 because we are considering the second piston, and the cross-section area of that second piston S2 is A2. Now from the first piston we had seen that the pressure there was F1 by A1. So substituting the value of P1 here, you will get F1 by A1 A2. So we had considered that the piston should be such that the cross-section area A2 should be very much greater than A1. So now as A2 is very much greater than A1, so this force F2 is very much greater than force F1. So by applying a small force F1 on this piston, you can just lift a heavy object which is placed on this piston S2, that is upwards. So this is basically called as hydraulic lift. And then the next application you have is the hydraulic brake. So even hydraulic brakes work on the same principle similar to that of the hydraulic lift. So they are usually used to slow down or stop the vehicles in motion. So we will see the diagram first. So from this diagram you can see that when a small force F1 is applied on the brake pad, which is having a comparatively small cross-section area, some pressure is created, and that pressure is just transferred to other slave cylinders, and when that pressure is transferred to other slave cylinders, a different force is generated there which is having a larger value, because here the piston has cross-section area greater than the cross-section area of the initial piston. So same relation, that is F2 is equal to F1 by A1 into A2 is considered here, and by applying a small force on the brake pad, a larger force is created towards the slave cylinders, and it is easy to stop the vehicles. So basically these are the two applications. The next point is the measurement of pressure. So the instruments which are used to measure pressure are called as pressure meters or pressure gauge or the vacuum gauges. So here we will study in detail the two instruments which are very much commonly used to measure the pressure. So with the help of a diagram we will see. So now consider this diagram. So you have a tube, a glass tube you can say. Now this glass tube is there and there is one container. So where you have to fill this glass tube first with mercury, and then you have to invert that glass tube. So you can say that the glass tube is about 1 meter length and diameter is 1 centimeter, and you will fill the whole tube with the mercury. Then you have to invert that into a small dish. So when you invert that tube into small dish, some amount of mercury falls down and it fills that small dish. Now you can see that a gap is created between the surface of the mercury and the end of the glass tube. Now this gap is called as Torricelli's vacuum. So this gap is called as Torricelli's vacuum, and it contains some mercury vapors only. Now the pressure at the upper end of the mercury is 0 because this is vacuum, so at this point the pressure is 0, so you can write PA is equal to 0. Now just consider a small point C on the surface, free surface on the dish. So if you consider this point C, then the pressure at this point C will be equal to P naught because this is on the surface, so it will be equal to the atmospheric pressure. Now at the same level you can consider another point B. Now as the point B and point C are on the same level, so you can write the pressure at point B is equal to pressure at point C. So as we had seen that the pressure at point C is atmospheric pressure, so PB is equal to P naught. Now in previous lectures we have seen the pressure at a certain depth or certain height. So using that relation you can write that the pressure at the depth H can be written as, that is PB, if you consider this part here mercury is filled and the height, this length is H. So from that relation you can write that PB is equal to PA plus H rho G. So this relation we had seen earlier. So using that relation you can write this. Now we had said that at point A pressure is equal to 0 and the pressure at B is equal to P naught. So you can write that P naught is equal to H rho G. So where H is the length of the mercury column in the mercury barometer. So this is the length of the mercury column in the mercury barometer. So this is a way of measuring pressure, you can say, and this is called as mercury barometer. Then the next instrument to measure the pressure can be open tube manometer. The next instrument is the open tube manometer. So you can see in this diagram, so manometer is basically a U-shaped tube partly filled with a low density liquid. So inside this U-shaped tube there is a low density liquid, you can just say water or kerosene, and we are using this low density liquid because we can get two different levels of the liquid. Now the one arm of the manometer is open to the atmosphere and another arm is connected to a container D. So this container D, another arm is connected to the container D, and we have to measure the pressure of this container. So we can consider a point A in this open arm. A point A is there. So the pressure at point A will be equal to the atmospheric pressure. So PA is equal to P naught. So pressure at point A is equal to atmospheric pressure because it is open towards the atmosphere. Now we have to find pressure at point C. As we have to find the pressure of this container D, so this point C is exposed to this area of whom we have to find the pressure. So we have to find the pressure of point C. We will consider a point B which is at the same level with point C. So if you consider this point B, we can write that PB is equal to PC because both points are at same level. And if you consider this arm, the distance between point A and point B, if it is H, so from the previous relations you can write PB is equal to PA plus H rho G. Now PA was the atmospheric pressure, so PB is equal to this atmospheric pressure plus H rho G. So where the rho is the density of the liquid which we are using in the open tube manometer. So we can use this formula to find the pressure of the given container D because the pressure at point B will be equal to the pressure at point C as they are on the same level.